You're back with the most shadow banned man in the land. On this one, I actually probably upload this to this channel that you're familiar with, Lamar Osmo. But in addition to that, I'm moving over to my channel, Professor Ayatollah, because I'm gonna have to rebuke some people, not only in the media, but throughout the, whether it be political, religious, you name it, philosophical. There are a lot of bad actors now, from anti-natal nihilists to you even have these ultra extreme people called ethalists who want to destroy all life altogether, because for them all life is suffering with no purpose. So that's outside the scope of this video. What I want to do on this video is talk about Ringo TV Raw, aka Blackmail Advice TV. Now this guy lives up to the saying, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. He used to be a great commentator, and he may have been on YouTube as early as when the platform first began. And he did a good job for a long time. What he used to do is mash together, evidence from black televangelists and other prominent figures in the black community who misuse scripture and who are basically prosperity gospel proponents, and people who are amoral and immoral, pretending to be moral leaders and representatives of the community. So he started out good. In addition to that, he would criticize and try to critique the behavior of black women, not in a Tommy Sotomayor fashion, but in an actual helpful manner. And alongside doing that, he used to actually critique black men as well. So here you had a great commentator, a very nuanced individual. Although I disagree with his religious stance, black Hebrew Israelites, I don't agree with Hebrewism, no matter who it comes from. The Hebrew religion and their religious texts are some of the worst books to ever be created by the hands of man. They've literally, fostered genocide on every continent, not just in Eurasia and Africa where they started, but as you can see with the case of the Europeans, they took the show on the road and did a real number here in the Western Hemisphere. It's sad. So many languages, cultures, and other faiths were destroyed, well, which may have been actually better, but we'll never know, because a lot of these cultures and belief systems were destroyed before they were able to put anything down in writing. Unfortunately, many of the natives on this continent didn't have written language systems. So a lot of what they believed is lost, especially the ones here on the East Coast. I'm currently residing in the state of North Carolina, and there's some people who claim to be indigenous, but they're not indigenous. Or if they are, I mean, they're so heavily mixed with European to the point where their claims on being native is just tenuous at best. I mean, it's a big stretch for them to claim that. But this Hebrew religion is no good. And again, I don't care who's doing it. Don't take my word for it. Just read their books. The Talmud is their primary text, and then the Zohar. And the funny thing about the Talmud and the Zohar, which is also known as the Kabbalah, they actually contradict what many people believe the practitioners of Judaism believe. Many people are under the a false belief that they adhere to the Old Testament of the Bible and it's their primary religious text, when in actuality it's not. People think it's the Torah, but it's actually the Talmud. But even if it was the Torah, I mean, look at some of the things that the God of the Torah advocated. The murder of infants. He said, with certain neighbors of the Hebrews, he advocated killing everyone, including sucklings. I mean, what kind of God is that? It sounds more like a devil. But this Ringo TV Raw guy, I got to warn against him. Again, he used to be good, but now he's gone to Larry Elder slash Jesse Lee Peterson route. And the funny thing about him is he's constantly bashing Kevin Samuels, and make no mistake about it, I don't like Kevin Samuels. I think he's poison, but and I think he's also a hypocrite, and he's pretending to be something that he's not. But that's outside of the scope of this video. So in no way am I advocating for Kevin Samuels. But this guy, what he does now is attack Kevin Samuels. When he's not doing that, he's doing what many people on the right have done for decades. He's bashing black men and blaming all the problems of the black American community on black men when it's 50-50 at best, but I would skew it 70-30. You know, you have a lot of men out here who would advocate returns to more traditional modes of family, but that's not going to happen. Women have been given a taste of masculine power in this society, and they're not going to give it up. So what we have to do now as men is just cope with it and come up with solutions around it. But blaming the problems of the black community on black men primarily is a fool's errand, and it doesn't make sense. I have a graduate degree, and I'm definitely not working in my field, but there are many black women who are. See, what I think happened, especially here in the United States, is we've been given, or actually, and it's not just with black women, women across the board are taking more of the white collar jobs, and especially jobs where you need a degree. Most of those are going to women. And if you're a man out here, you have to find a skilled trade. That's my best advice to not only black men, but just men in general. Find a trade that is a necessity, that can't be outsourced and that can't be undermined by cheap labor, and learn those trades, whether it be IT, plumbing. There's still a lot of hands-on jobs where you can get paid a decent life, livable wage, I should say, and have a decent life. But going to college is a fool's errand, especially in liberal arts education like I did. I wish I knew it at the time, but they said do what you love, and I went that route. I went with what I was interested in. It didn't pay, but you know, fortunately, God has helped me to get some sort of career where eventually it'll lead to a average life. So, or you know, slightly above average, I should say, because a lot of people, unfortunately, make 30 grand or less. We're living in tumultuous and terrible times, and blaming black men for everything isn't going to help anything, because I would say we're probably the group with the least power in society. You know, the women have the whip hand in our community, because even if you do try to put your foot down as a man, they could always call the authorities on you and nip you in the bud. You know, it's but again, you know, we'll persevere and we'll figure out a way around this. We always do. But I just wanted to warn against this guy. His doctrine is poison, because again, he's coming from this black Hebrew Israelite perspective, which is rubbish. It's one of the worst religions. Hebrewism, I'm going to call it, because I don't want to say any of the other words, because it's an unpopular opinion. I mean, but don't take my word for it. Again, read their Torah. But in terms of this guy, all he does is bash black men and blame black men for all the problems of the community. Now, it's been alleged that the reason he's doing this is, and he's a polygamist, by the way, which is you know, that's I don't have any issue with that. I think that's actually admirable. But unfortunately for him, he's had all daughters, so I think maybe one of his daughters are growing up, and you know, he's worried about the quality of men that are out here. But just because you have all daughters doesn't mean you should advocate for female supremacy and continue the black male bashing. Because again, Jesse Lee Peterson was on Sally Jesse Raphael advocating for Sister Shahrazad Ali, who Kevin Samuels, as I'll steal his word for the guy, but he got on Kevin Samuels for advocating one of us, Sister Shahrazad Ali. May God lengthen her life and bless her in this world and the next, because you know, she's tried her best. She's put out some pretty good doctrine that could have gotten our community back on track, but Black people are unfortunately rebellious when it comes to anything that is actually going to help us, unfortunately. But yeah, Kevin Samuels is a poison, and so is Ringo TV Raw. Because all Ringo TV Raw is now, aka Black Male Advice TV, he's on the opposite side of the coin as Kevin Samuels. So you don't get any nuance from him anymore. All his critique and bad mouthing is aimed mostly at black men now. He puts Sister Shahrazad Ali's name in his mouth, but she's not a proponent of his doctrine either, especially blaming black men for everything. And again, this is a common gimmick. We've seen it before. I mean, look at Candace Owens. She went from a liberal with a doxing website called Social Media Autopsy to one of the biggest Aunt Jemimas ever now. Because it pays. It pays to bash black men, and it pays to blame people with no money and power for all the ills of society. But you know the deal, so I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Donate if you can. Check out my Patreon if you can. See you on the next one.